Renewable natural resources. You know what? We need to pay attention to this area, especially in this chapter. We talked about the aspects of the metrics involved, of the different aspects of sustainability. There's a lot to be said in this section over here. Keep in mind, it's called international business. So what kind of opportunities are sitting out there in the world of business, especially in this field of renewable energy resources? We have a brand new focus that really has shown up within the last 10 years on the aspect of what is clean energy, what is renewable. Can we sit down there and stop destroying planet Earth and sitting there reducing the aspect of temperature change and everything else, and have something that we all can get along with and we all look forward to the opportunity, and we can all sit down and make a healthy living in the process as we go through. Renewable energy sources, wind power, it really is becoming a mainstream source for electricity in large parts of the country as you go through. But there's issues with it. If you really are involved in paying attention to the environment, you have problems, especially the raptors, going through and getting killed by the different windmills. Seriously, coming from the aspect of Palm Springs, seeing the hundreds of acres of windmills going across the entire area, there are issues with birds, especially the raptors, coming through and being decimated by the windmills, not by one or two, but by the hundreds that go through. Biomass, it's an energy source for photosynthesis you go through. You have a large amount of solar power, photovoltaic power, and a lot of us have solar panels on our roofs. It really does help overall, except you have problems with solar panel farms. Recently, there was a hurricane that came through in the south, and they showed a picture of South Carolina. It went through and it wiped out an entire field of solar power panels. All of a sudden, big parts of the area were without electricity because they depended upon the solar panels as they do that. What are we doing big picture wise to make certain that when the sun goes down, that we still have electricity to run our household? What happens when it's cloudy for a week? How do we run our household because the solar panels are not functioning as well? What happens when the wind dies down at night? How are we getting electricity on that? So even though we're talking about, yes, green, 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 let's pay attention to the details and make certain we don't make proclamations. We're going to change the world and have all electric vehicles in 15 years, but your electricity grid is disintegrating all around you. And what are you doing to fix it? Okay, it's called planning, thinking, but it's also called opportunity. It's called the world of business. Business thrives on opportunity. Be the next one to come up with a concept with green energy that addresses the concerns out there. Instead of whining and complaining, look for the opportunity that's sitting out over there. Global wind generating capacity, no matter what, it is skyrocketing as we go through. You can see it was almost nothing prior to 2000. Now it really is something serious in the process as you go through. Find a way to generate wind power without destroying part of the environment, especially the issue of the birds as you go through. What about solar? By the time you're all done, China far exceeds solar capacity than the US. Are we catching up? This is 2019. Oh, we're doing better, but how is planet Earth on solar generating capacity? Solar panels across a vacant field, they really don't become an eyesore if the area is not used. But that being said, it looks much more attractive than having giant windmills in the process as well as you go through. So you look on the aspect of solar generating capacity, we can certainly do a lot more of this because there's thousands and hundreds of thousands of acres of rooftops across the United States open. They have solar panels scattered across them and start generating a lot of power internally as you go through. We're also looking now in the aspect concentrating solar thermal power, where you have a giant tower, where you have mirrors controlled by computers that focus energy, solar energy, at the apex of the tower, which actually has a sodium component in it that heats and actually heats water to actually have turbines on the inside and generate electricity in that capacity. That is a relatively new technology becoming better all the time because of better computer controlled mirrors as you go through the process. Geothermal power, sucking heat out of the earth and actually going through and using that aspect of the differential between surface temperature and deep pressure as you go the deep temperatures down, and using the temperature differential to generate electricity. Ocean energy, power from the sun's heat on the water and the mechanical energy of the tides. The tides and the waves, they move constantly, a perfect source for any kind of a generator to sit down and build electricity for our use in the process. Hydropower, It draws on the energy of the moving water. There's a lot of different ways we can sit down and have different types of renewable energy sources. So worldwide geothermal generating capacity, it's increasing a lot of different ways. We look on different aspects of the rare earths. There's 17 non-fuel mineral elements used in rare earths for batteries and defense applications, a lot of different aspects of it, and China has a huge amount of output on that. Here's a debate for you to sit down and talk about, maybe over dinner, and show everybody how smart you are, because you're taking international business. Okay, the debate centers on the subject of greenhouse gas emissions. Data shows they contribute to global warming. If left unchecked, we could sit down and have a planet hotter, but could also disrupt rainfall patterns. We're seeing some of that. I'm not certain if it's all caused in this, but it sure seems like it is from my perspective. But seeming is different from the actual data, because there's a big argument as to how serious the data is when it comes down to it. So that being said, massive change comes with massive problems in the initial adaptation. That's been the history of humanity for many, many years. Solar is a giant opportunity. So is wind, so is biomass. And by the way, business thrives on finding solutions to problems, new problems, and green is the new gold. Take care.